Good morning. It's Tuesday, September 2nd, and I read something very interesting yesterday morning, which I'm going to tell you about now. It's about an engineering marvel and the woman. This is about the woman who built the Brooklyn Bridge. That's right, a woman oversaw the construction of the Brooklyn Bridge. It was an incredible feat of engineering in its day, but it was a nightmare to build because it took from 1869 to 1883 to complete. That's 14 years. 14 years with a woman responsible for getting the job done. Amazing at that time, and probably amazing today also if it happened. And the project was mired by political corruption. At least 20 workers died during the construction, including John Augustus Roebling, the bridge's chief engineer. His son Washington Roebling, who helped his father during the design, took over the project. But after spending 12 hours inside a compressed chamber while working underwater, Roebling developed deep compression sickness, better known as the bends, and severely and permanently affected his health. On paper, he continued overseeing the project until the finish line, but in reality, it was his wife, Emily Warren Roebling, who got the job done. Emily started out as liaison between the bridge crew and her husband, but she had a good mind for engineering and soon grew proficient in all aspects of the construction. So much so that some assumed she had fully taken over, and she also had a sharp political mind and was able to manage the complicated web of interests associated with the bridge, even convincing the mayor of Brooklyn, who was considering replacing the chief engineer, to keep her husband on. Though she served as the de facto head of the project, she had to keep the extent of her involvement hidden, fearing her husband would be replaced if people knew he wasn't in full control. Because in those days, a woman heading a project like this would have been unheard of and probably not well respected in the finish. Washington Roebling, meanwhile, was too ill to manage the day-to-day work. He watched the progress through a telescope from a bedroom in Brooklyn Heights, but he stopped visiting the construction site. Emily later wrote in a letter to her son that her husband was for years dead to all interest in the project. When the bridge was finally completed, Emily rode in the first carriage across the bridge. It was an impressive span, carrying a rooster for good luck. She was well aware of the magnitude of her accomplishment. I have more brains, common sense, and know-how generally than have any two engineers, civil or uncivil, she wrote in the same letter. But for me, the Brooklyn Bridge would never have had the name Roebling in any way connected with it. So a marvel of engineering was completed by a woman in the 1860s. And this bridge is trusted by millions. So think about that. A woman, head of construction of the Brooklyn Bridge. A bridge that many people talk about. The Brooklyn Bridge is a famous structure. But I will bet you that 90% of the people don't know that the engineering feat was completed by a woman. And I'll also bet you that most people will think that I'm crazy telling you this story. And that women didn't do things like that in the 1800s. But I am willing to bet you that there are more things that women did at that time that are unknown at now. Because women are special and they can do anything that a man can do. I know. I am married to one of those women. So I'll leave you with that this morning. A great piece of information about the engineering marvel, the Brooklyn Bridge. And you know how many times the Brooklyn Bridge is mentioned in conversation today. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.